My name is Angie Chang, founder of Girl Geek X. And with us today, we have Florence, who is an IT product owner at State Farm, and she'll be sharing her experience navigating the career lattice and sharing her expert tips for success. Welcome, Florence.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you to the planning committee as well for inviting me to speak. And thank you to you out there for choosing to spend some of your conference time with me. Full transparency, this is a very modified presentation of a much longer one that I do, but I will cover all the key career management concepts, which can be technical. But this talk is as much about me, my journey, and how I have managed my career for the last 20 years. Whether or not you are a first generation professional like I am, or whatever your backstory is, my hope is that my presentation will resonate with you and even shift your mindset when you think about career development. I especially hope that if you are here or you're watching this later and you're currently trying to figure out what you want to do, where to go next, you will hear something that will give you a breakthrough and hopefully some peace of mind. So these are the questions I usually get. So I thought I would share them with you, get ahead of you. And I just want to get straight into it by saying that the lattice is the opposite of what you and I all know as the career ladder, the corporate ladder. It's simply another career development framework. A disclaimer, whether it's the ladder, the lattice, both are meant to help us manage our careers. Neither one is a one size fits all. But the reality is that many people gravitate towards the latter and don't know a thing or enough about the lattice to embrace it. Definitions matter, and I think if people understood what the lattice is, they would be more welcoming. They would embrace it a lot more. But I'm going to start with defining the corporate ladder using Merriam Webster's definition. So as you can see, it's basically a series of higher positions that can be taken to have greater responsibility and financial success. The shiny things. I once saw somewhere that the first use of the term career ladder dates back to 1835, so almost 2 centuries ago. Think about it. We're building our careers, we're measuring our success, we're measuring our worth with something that is older than the automobile and the telephone. Okay. I personally think the longevity is of the corporate ladder is the sole reason that most career development gurus out there talk about it more than they do the lattice. It's not because the corporate ladder is the holy grail method or career paths are linear. They're not supposed to be by design. And I don't know if you've ever seen these two ladies, but Helen Tupper and Sarah Ellis are authors and advocates for what they call squiggly careers, aka the lattice. And many thought leaders actually advise us to ditch the ladder. Yes, ditch the ladder. They had a TED talk back in 2021 and they broke down their position on the ladder and the squiggle. Several things stayed with me, but I just want to share a couple. So, in the career ladder, our identity, our mindset is usually fixated on the titles we've held or want to hold next instead of the talents, the competencies that we have, and also the impact we should be aiming for, that we should be making. The latter is a redundant concept for careers because it limits learning and opportunity. And finally, when it comes to squiggly careers, aka the lattice, there's really room for everyone to succeed. That's not to say it's not competitive. There's still competition. It's just that it's not prescriptive. So your squiggle, in my squiggle, your lattice, and mine will not look the same. And that is completely okay. So this visual I love. It's by the Academy to Innovate HR. It really compares the two. And to me, the differences are glaring. You look at the bubble on the Lattice side while I read their official definition. So, according to the Academy, the Lattice is a way of enabling career mobility from a 360-degree perspective. It's a career progression framework where you and I, as employees, can move vertically, horizontally, and diagonally within and outside of our organization. Another way to look at the lattice is that it provides employees, me and you, various career opportunities that we can explore based on our ambitions, where we are in life, so our life stages, and also organizational need. This is another visual, and I love it because you can clearly see one is neat and tidy, step by step, guard well, and then the other one, not so much. You can actually get a whiplash looking at the lattice side, but it's still useful, it's still beneficial. Both of them are career management tools that we need to know about and see if one makes sense for us more than the other. Another truth bomb when it comes to the lattice is that it's not just good for you and me as employees, it's also great for employers. Yes, studies show the Lattice framework provides significant benefits to organizations. Why? They get access to various skills, they have seen increases in their employee engagement, and improvements in their employee retention, which are three indicators that are very important for organizations. So, I guess a challenge for you, homework, is to reflect upon your career thus far. Think about where you think you fit. And there's really no right or wrong answer, but it is something that you want to think about so you can see, okay, is what I'm doing working or is it not? Maybe you might want to jump over, try something different. So, I am a first generation professional, an immigrant from Haiti who opted out of anything medical for my education. And so I believe my redemption would be climbing the corporate ladder, that it was my only way to have a career and be a success somehow. However, within the first year and a half of being in my big girl job out of college, I realized I was in trouble. This belief system wasn't sitting well with me anymore. It just wasn't serving me. I was restless. I wanted to break out, chart my career in a way that was less step ladder. What happened was that I got hired out of college for a management training program at Wells Fargo, where I started out as a management trainee slash credit manager, got a promotion to assistant branch manager. I was really good. And so ahead of me was branch management, district manager, regional manager, and so on. On paper, my future was bright, but I had a hard time articulating who I was as a professional and who I wanted to become. I had become interested in project management and was more interested in that than being in branch management. I stayed at Wells Fargo for over 4 years until one day, it was a beautiful day in June 2007. I went to work and I resigned. It was not planned. And that year was the initial start of my Lattice journey. I just did not have a name for it, I didn't have the language. What I'm trying to convey is that being a latticer being a non-traditional person when it comes to career and everything else is not all fun and games. It doesn't mean that the shackles are off. It doesn't mean that you don't need a game plan, that you should meander your way through life. And so it can be confusing, it can be mentally exhausting, like it was for me, especially when having to explain my choices to my mom, for example, a very Haitian mom, and also to try to define myself to myself, as a professional. I couldn't tell you confidently what that lady on the right did for a living. It was only through studying people that I admire, doing the work, research, analyzing myself, that the answer came once I realized and accepted who I was or wanted to be was not necessarily a title, if that makes sense, but ultimately what's known as a T shaped professional, which I will explain over the next two slides very quickly. So, the gist of what it means to be a T shaped professional is very simple. Being T shaped means you have the depth and breadth of experience and ability to work across multiple and different business scenarios or industries. So just think of the letter T. At the top, you have your broad knowledge, your skill set. And then you think of the body, that is the anchor. That is where your deep knowledge, skill set, AKA your specialty, lies. I love this visual because it's a reflection of how my answer to that who are you question evolved as I learned more about myself and had the right language. For a long, long time, I thought I was a journalist, and that was the top, that was the end. And this is the second visual for the T shape, and it's by Mackenzie. Mackenzie is the one who coined the concept, the term. And I really like this one just as much because it's multidimensional. I love how it includes your personal skills in there. It's not just your technical skills, your functional skills, your industry, business acumen skills. So it's your whole self. Guys, if you are out there, you don't know who you are, you don't have a killer elevator pitch, you don't have your value proposition, it's okay, but it cannot be a permanent thing. The beauty of it is that it's never too late to figure all those things out, and you will evolve. I am a perfect example of that. Quick tip, if you want to like start thinking through yourself, where you've been and where you want to go, do a SWOT analysis, like strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat, or use a mock-up of this free, I know, low budget McKinsey diagram, or invest in one of the fancy tools that are out there to help you get to the root causes of where you are stuck or why you are stuck. So, who am I? How did I answer that question? I basically answered it this way. It feels this is the most current, so that's what I'm running with so far. It will evolve, but I am a project and product management professional with a proven track record in sales and marketing, customer success, payment processing, and business intelligence. I enjoy the process of solving customer problems and closing business gaps. My challenge for you is to answer that question for yourself. That is homework number two, I guess. Especially you want to do that if you don't have anything or the one that you have isn't quite sitting or hitting it. And there are so many ways to actually get there, get to your answer, or even to create your lattice, or to transition from the I shape, like I did, to the minus, the generalist, and now the T shape. You just have to do the work, reflect, 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 and take action. So I talked about the T shape. I gave you the template. In addition to that template, you want to have these two visuals in your back pocket, especially as a latticer. Why? You don't have guardrails. You don't have your next wall lined up. You don't really know what your next wall will be. In general, that's really what's going on with the lattice. So first up, let's look at the support spectrum really quick. You need to understand and embrace it. You need to be able to know what it means to have a mentor versus an advocate, for example. They are not the same thing. Yes, it's not all about mentorship. Also, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but having 2 or 3 mentors is good, but you've got some work to do. You got to have a full support staff, a board of director, if you will. The faster you do, the better off you will be personally and professionally. Even though the lattice kind of means you walking your own path, you should not do it alone. It's not meant to be done alone. You got to have people in your corner who can help you in all 5 areas. Yes. The PI theory, really quickly, if you've never heard of it, it stands for performance, image, and exposure. It was coined by Harvey Coleman, author of a groundbreaking book called Empower Yourself, The Organizational Game Revealed. For years, I was stumped as to how PI made any kind of sense. I felt it was highlighting or promoting an unfair system because for me, it was about performance. So embracing PI didn't feel natural. But once I started to understand and embrace it, instead of fighting the stats, I became free. So free to the extent that my definition for what a professional is or what corporate is changed. I am naturally more on the introvert side of things, yet I have pushed myself out there and I am now hosting a podcast online for my PMI chapter. It's so far apart from my personality and something that I thought I would be doing as a quote unquote professional. But I'm doing it and I'm loving it. We're almost out of time, so let me try to wrap up really quickly with some key takeaways. I'll give you 5 at a time. So think through these. Career development is about career stewardship. You know, these frameworks, they're not a one size fits all, but they're also not a once and done. So if you start with one, you can't hop out of it. You know, eat the pie. Get yourself your support spectrum. Get yourself a board of director. Chase outcomes, not titles. Chase impact, not titles. The money will come. It will come. It will. It may take longer, but it will come. I'm very generous, so I just want to add 5 more, and I just want to call out 2 of them. All that glitter is not gold. Stay focused, create your own opportunities. And lastly, enjoy the ride, give back. I did not do that in the early days of my career. And now that I'm doing it, I honestly think it would have done me so much good to actually have done that, to have had that mentality. So I encourage people now when I speak, when I mentor, to really find the enjoyment in what they're doing and even in the challenges. It's really made a positive difference in my personal life and my professional life. And with that, folks, that is the end of my presentation time. If we have any time left, Angie, I can take 1 or 2 questions. Otherwise, connect with me on LinkedIn or reach out to me via email. I have my email up there, 56elevation@gmail.com. And I'm also happy to share my full deck. That way you get all the information if you want. Thank you. Angie, do we have any questions?
I think we're actually just at time. We're like less than 1 minute left.
Perfect.
So say thank
Perfect.
you so much
Awesome.
for this.
Reach out to me, guys. Reach out. LinkedIn, I'm fairly active over there.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank